Hello everyone, this is Andrew Rochford, host of the Rochford Files on YouTube and additional live streams on Twitch as well. And finally, I'm getting around to recording a segment this week. And this is a pretty big sports political related story tied to the NBA, and we'll get into the details of that. So Tom Winter and Jonathan Dienst have broke a story about how 18 former NBA players have been arrested and charged federally for defrauding the NBA's health and welfare benefit plan of approximately $4 million, law enforcement officials say. And as usual, I prefer using the Cliff Notes Twitter thread style recaps for these articles. And here are some of the players charged in it. So, mainly who's who of role players and borderline rotation players in the NBA. Milt Palacio, Sebastian Telfair, Antoine Wright, Darius Miles. Maybe he was trying to pull off a real perfect score after being successful as an actor in that movie. Ruben Patterson. We know what that means. Unfortunately, more Jailblazer jokes again. Eddie Robinson, Greg Smith, Glenn Big Baby Davis, Demario Moon, Terrence Williams, Alan Anderson, Tony Allen, probably the most prominent player of the 18, Shannon Brown, Will Bynum, Melvin Ely. The only guy on this list who was played for the Nuggets. Chris Douglas Roberts, Tony Wolf. And let's get into details. The indictment says that former NBA player Terrence Williams orchestrated a plan to submit false claims to the NBA's health and welfare benefit plan. Williams allegedly offered to supply false invoices from a group of former players in exchange for kickback payments to Williams. Not a surprise. He was supposed to be this hyped athlete coming out of Louisville, and even out of desperation, they a team, I believe it was the Rockets or the Kings, experimented with letting him become point forward. And I'm sure and he did that point forward type of thing when it comes to leading this plan. All told, the indictment says Williams was paid at least $230,000 in kickbacks from 10 other players. The players involved and some of their relatives submitted approximately $3.9 million in fraudulent claims and actually received $2.5 million in fraudulent payments. And 16 of the 18 players were already in federal custody. There's also certain sources that go into deeper detail on some of the examples. One of them was for Greg Smith and how he submitted a claim for a root canal while he was overseas playing basketball in Taiwan, and that was the common claim right there. So my thoughts on it is it's really a lot like what we usually see in society. The underclass usually gets caught and charged for their crimes. That's just how it is. You may think that the millionaire professional athletes are above that group, but the reality is that they're really not. When it comes to gaming the system, there's only one group that they're not part of that group. They're treated like working class once it's their turn to take their shot at gaming the system. But the elite, wealthy billionaires, the politicians, the lobbyists, the military-industrial complex, those people, stockbroker, the overlords of the oligarchy, they get to game this system all that they want. And they always, in moments like these, the millionaires or past millionaires get put right back under their thumb. So I think Chuck Modiano of Deadspin had the best and substantive response towards this story. First story of 18 NBA players arrested. Also no leagues, especially NFL, deny health care to ex-players at far more than $4 million. NFL gutted benefits to 400 ex-players and corrupt CBA. We're going to have health fraud discussion. Let's include NFL owners who never get arrested. Next, no NFL player has fought harder against corrupt NFL CBA and screwing ex-players out of life-saving disability benefits more than Eric Reid, a worse offense than kneeling, and likely secured his blackballing by NFL. Ex-players getting screwed was widely ignored. If I go back to work full-time, I come home to a dead husband. Wives of ex-NFL players bashed the NFL collective bargaining agreement. Eric Reid gave him this platform. Women in the NFL voices have been ignored, got almost no attention, unlike arrested NBA players will. And the other thing he adds is right here, listing some examples of NBA owners' taxpayer theft. $430 million by the Orlando Magic, $305 million by Brooklyn Nets, $194 million by the Atlanta Hawks. And that's just 3 of the 20 of the other 30 NBA teams. And you can imagine that just about every owner is going to be roughly in that ballpark. Given billion-dollar arena welfare checks stolen by NBA owners, am I really supposed to give a fuck about 20 NBA players getting $4 million? That insults my mathematical intelligence. Yes, Chuck nailed it right there. Because when it comes down to it, these type of stories are just propaganda, in my opinion, because of the way they get used to distract you from the crimes that are up there. And in this instance, it's not quite as high as the other, not quite as low as the common crime propaganda that they try to use to on you to follow the rules. Because in reality, most of the examples are very much down at the bottom. Because come on now, this would be like if a retailer sent their camera footage to local law enforcement of 18 people who got $400 worth of merchandise from a big box retailer. And that's what it's really like, in my opinion, when you scale that down to the poor working class level. And that's why I'm not going to be playing right into the hands of this story's narrative, the overriding mainstream agenda, because what I do know is the place where I'm really concerned about the crime is the ones that are being taking place in the highest of places, and that's where, and those are the people who are mostly responsible right now for this late stage capitalism hellscape. And when it comes down to it, even those who are in the medium place are still a distracting point from the real crimes that are happening in the United States. That is a political oligarchy which fights tooth and nail against a universal healthcare system, living wages, housing for as a human right, and they want you to be outraged about this. And if there's anything that this pandemic has shown, focus has to be on the people, the powerful people who keep sucking all the wealth away from the people at the bottom.